Stitch Cutie, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and today on the Facebook Live we are going to work on this adorable starter pillow using your embroidery machine. So this is the Hedgie Block of the month. This is the starter kit that you get so that you get familiar, one, with using your embroidery files if you've chosen to do the plus version, which includes the embroidery files, and also you're going to get used to using the mini simple folded ruler. So in this tutorial we're just going to use the embroidery machine and we're going to make this whole center right here. It's going to stitch everything for us. It's going to be awesome. So what I have loaded on my machine is the file for the starter kit. If you're a member, you log into your account, download it under memberships, and you load it on your machine. So I'm just going to start the project. I have a white thread on my machine, and I'm a thread holder. You're going to notice that I always hold my thread, and as soon as we start a Facebook Live, I realized that I walked away with my scissors to my desk right around the corner. So I'm so sorry, Libby, to ask you. There's blue scissors on my desk. I was prepping my pieces, and so I walked away with my own scissors. Thank you. You want to have your scissors when you're doing this. I knew I was forgetting something. Right before we started the live, I was like, what am I forgetting? And we looked at everything, and we're like, we have everything. This. So what I'm going to do is go over all the tools and talk about the pattern. Right now, while the machine's getting the pieces ready for us, I'm just going to let it do that. So the first step what your machine does in your hoop is it stitches a square. This is a placement line so you know where you want to put your fabric. Now when we're talking about the fabric, I like to use a smidge of starch on all of my projects. I just think that it really gives the fabric a nice feel and makes it a little bit nicer when you're working with it. So just give it a little starch. Now what I have in front of my workstation, as always, is my Steady Betty. I love my Steady Betty because I can iron right here in front of my embroidery machine. And then, of course, my Steam Fast Travel Iron, which is the little iron I'm using. So I put enough starch to where I need to iron it dry. And I will say a really good tip is to use the same amount of starch throughout your project from start to finish. So however much starch you're using on your starter project, use it throughout, especially when you get to working on the actual quilts. So this is already cut for you in your kits. It's a really cute multi-dot from our friends at Moda. And you simply plop it in the hoop and you just make sure you're covering that stitched line. You don't need to worry about it being like perfectly square or anything like that. We give you more fabric than you need, and you're going to trim it down at the end. So the tape that I'm using is called 3M transport tape. I'm just using it to hold my fabric in place. You can also use regular old home office tape, whatever you have on hand. But I like to use this, and you can order it from Amazon, honestly. It's great. So I'm going to put my hoop back on. And now while it's stitching that, the machine is going to stitch that same square that it already stitched. It's going to stitch it again. That's ultimately going to be our trim line and tell us where we trim the block. And then also it's going to stitch our first applique outline. So what's different about how we do our embroidery files is they work already with your pre-fused laser cut applique pieces. So I know a lot of you are familiar with that and some of you aren't. So in this tutorial you'll get to see just how that works. So in traditional machine embroidery applique, you are having to plop down like a big square of fabric and then trim around that, around the tack line, and then it goes back, and you can pretty much only use a satin stitch or other kind of thick decorative stitches. What's really fun about using the pre-fused laser cut applique pieces and the exact applique outlines that the machine stitches for you is that you get to use really nice delicate buttonhole stitches, which a lot of other embroidery files don't include. So we're going to put our first piece in place in just a minute, but what I'm going to do right now, do we have some questions?
We do. A couple people say hello, including Stephen from the Netherlands.
Hey, Stephen!
Sandra Copeland says hi.
Hey,
Karen wants to know, what type of machine are you using? She's been looking for the right size hoop and the right size machine.
Perfect question. So this is a Brother & Novus VE2200. I would say it's like 4 or 5 years old now, so the model number is going to be a higher number now. I would call it like about a middle of the grade machine. It's not anything too crazy expensive. I'm really, really happy with it. My number one recommendation when you're picking a machine to purchase, if you don't already have one, is to look at the hoop sizes and the flexibility of the hoop sizes that you can add on and what kind of projects you're going to use. So if you have an 8-inch by 12-inch hoop, then you can do everything with us here at Stitches of Love. So look at who you're really getting the machine to use, with what designers' projects and what size hoop they pretty much stick to, and then I would get a machine on that. But I've been really, really happy, knock on wood, with my brother. I really like this machine. So what we have here you can see that, you think, Libby? Am I in like a pretty good spot?
Yeah.
So you can see that there's an applique outline of our Hedgie body. So all I'm gonna do, I keep this right on my steady Betty right in front of the machine. Take my piece number 1, and I'm gonna iron it right in place. Now this first little piece has a bunch of little like curves and like his little hair sticks out. So what I do is get it in place all the way around, and I just start at the center and work my way down. More questions, Libby?
Well, I think what we couldn't see, just because it's a video, is the stitch lines that it created. And so maybe you want to talk about what the stitch lines are.
Absolutely. And actually, I think if I show you from the back, you'll be able to see what it stitched. So if you look at the back of the hoop, can you see?
Tilt it to at an angle almost.
There you go. Y'all see there was like an outline? So what that was an outline. It's a placement guide showing me exactly where to put my piece. So when I put this back on, still with my white thread, my machine is going to give me my next applique outlines, which are 2 little pieces of his ears. And what's really cool, I'll tell you how the instructions are in the pattern. Let me open this up for you while the machine is stitching. So all of our patterns now go into a binder. They come to you 3-hole punched. But what's great is that we give you step-by-step instructions all the way in working in your embroidery machine. So you can see that every single step that you're gonna do, you're gonna have a guide right here in the pattern. And then of course, video tutorials where you can stitch along with me, because I do all the machine embroidery and I have a blast. Alrighty, so now we have 2 more applique outlines, and I think you'll be able to see it better now because it's on the brown. So see, there's like 2 little ears outlined. So what we're gonna do, grab our 2 ears, we're just gonna iron them on. So all you're doing is kind of working with your machine to build your applique units right in the hoop. It's really fun and really easy. And Sandra, you don't do the embroidery machine, do you? I think, Sandra, you do it with like your actual buttonhole stitch like Mom does it. And then Steven is everyone watching. So Steven's in the Netherlands right now, and tonight he's at Astrid and Jorn's house. So I picture everyone in their living room watching me. So hey guys, well the kids are probably asleep.
Astrid did say hi, or hoy,
Oh,
hoy,
yay!
H-O-Y,
Hey,
H-O-Y.
Astrid. I'm so excited. I wish I could have been there this week. It was fun. Steven got to go for his mommy's birthday. So let's also, while it's stitching, I'm going to talk about the thread colors that we're using in this project. So everything that we use is the sulky thread here at Stitches of Love. We love working with the sulky threads. And specifically for the embroidery machine, I like to use the 40 weight rayon. So we do have a thread kit for the Hedgie Club, which I know a ton of you added on when you signed up. But the colors are just so fun. So for this particular project, we're using a beautiful brown, and then a really fun pink. We're using gray and blue, green and yellow, and then last but not least, orange and black. So as we go through the color changes, you'll see all those threads again up close. So now the machine has stitched a few more applique outlines for us. So we have 2 more little pieces to go on the ear. Those are the little pink insides of the ear. And then we have the Hedgie body. So we're starting to really build this guy out. Oh, actually it's a girl. It's Harmony Hedgie. So I should say we're building her. I think. Oh, I guess Harmony could be a boy. Who knows? So you're just going to put your applique pieces right in place. And it's so easy and fun to do this because you don't have to really think about anything. And if you get stuck, you just look at your machine or you look at the pattern. It tells you exactly what to do. But really with the applique outlines, you can pretty much tell what piece goes where because the pieces are going to be an absolute perfect fit. A little fun trick. When you put your applique piece down, if you kind of get it not inside the lines where you want it, while it's still hot from the iron, you can actually adjust it a little bit before that heat and bond really sets. So that's a fun tip. I do that a lot. And now we're gonna put our little body in the center, and you just line it right up. There we go. All right, so now when we put this back on, the machine's gonna do several more applique outlines for us. It is gonna give us an outline of the cute little heart nose on our Hedgie. It's gonna give us both cheeks, and then we're gonna start building the spool. So it's gonna give us the spool top and the spool bottom of our little Hedgie. So let me show you. What it's stitching right now are the outlines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Really fun, really simple. So while you're doing this, you know, you really just get to have fun and watch your machine do a lot of the work for you. I love doing the machine embroidery because of that. Yeah, some questions?
Yes, Roxy wants to know if the bombs start in January, the blocks of the month.
Well, this particular one, everybody's first box will be October 1st if you sign up between now and October 1st, but all of our block of the months for the most part, no matter when you join, you're going to start at the very beginning and get the next renewal. So for this, when you join, if you join today, your starter kit mails right away. So you get everything you need to make this cute little pillow. You get the really nice ruler that you're going to use throughout the entire project. This is the mini simple folded ruler. You get your Hedgie guidebook, and then you get, of course, your pattern for the starter kit. And there's some fun surprises in the monthly boxes. All right, so now it's time to iron these applique pieces on. So it's really nice. The two circles for the cheeks are the exact same, so you don't have to worry about which is which. Just put those right in place. There we go. And then the little nose, this little bitty heart nose. It's so little, but it's so cute. It really just makes your little Hedgie so cute. You just put that right in place. And then we have the spool top and the spool bottom. And I should mention that when I prep my pieces before I begin, I go on and I peel the backing off all of them. You know, the Heat and Bond Light is what they're prefused with. So I just peel that white paper backing off of all of them. And then one more piece. And it's gonna be so much fun. When it starts stitching all the fun colors, it's really cool to watch your project come to life. And I do say that in every tutorial, I can't help it. It's true, they come to life. All right, so we put that on still with the white thread. So now the machine is gonna give us an outline of the little spool square, and it's gonna give us an outline of one of the little Hedgie arms. Super cute. So I'm just gonna have my pieces ready to go.
Will you tell us again what machine you're using?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the Brother Innovis VE2200. So it's about 4 or 5 years old now. So the model number is going to be a higher number now. I don't know specifically what the, you know, latest and greatest model is, but I've been really, really happy with it. And the reason we went with Brother when we did is because, I don't know, we were in St. Louis and we were meeting with somebody who develops like embroidery software. And they said outside of the like commercial machines, they thought Brother made the best machine. So we went with it. So far we've been pleased. I can't remember the name of the person that told us that, so I'm sorry. And now we're just gonna put our little square right in place. And I should say it's not a square, it's a rectangle. So you wanna make sure you have it the right way because you do wanna make sure it overlaps on that gray spool top and spool bottom. And then cute little hand. Look at that little guy, he's so cute.
And will this video be available again?
Absolutely, yeah. So this live video will be available here on Facebook, and then we also at the end will upload it to YouTube. And then also all of the videos that we do for the embroidery machine every month, I actually film straight down, step by step. So that video is also going to be available over the next few days as well. But it's just really fun to do some live tutorials with y'all because I get to like chat with you on stitching, and I hope y'all enjoy it too. So right now what it's doing is giving us an outline of the little yellow flower and then both green leaves. So you can see I've not really been having to do much effort and the machine's doing all the hard work for me. I love it. And so now at certain steps I always like to point out in the video, and we always point it out in the pattern too. Sometimes the piece is over and under lap that you're laying down, right? So right now we're gonna make sure that we put down the side stem, which I think is piece number 12. Let's see. 13 through 15, yeah. So 13, 14, and 15 are what we're putting down now. And we want to make sure that we put it down in numerical order. So 13, then 14, then 15. And again, that's all in your pattern as you're doing this. So just take
Will you
this
show
out.
us the stitched lines?
I
I feel like those are really easy to see on the blue.
I forgot to show y'all through all the steps. So see, I have my applique outline of all 3 of those. So all I have to do is take my pre-fused laser cut applique piece and plop it right in there. It's so easy, and that's why I like to just have my Steady Betty right here in front of my embroidery machine, and I just have my whole little pile right here of all the tools I need, and I don't have to move to like an ironing board or anything like that. And then I also like to have my cutting surface and my light pad right here, and they all kind of fit together. And that way I don't have to go to another workspace in my room. So I know a lot of people have a whole room dedicated to sewing, but even if you don't need that much space, because with these tools, they all kind of go together and make one nice little workspace for you. And then we're gonna put our little yellow flower in. So cute. I can't wait to show y'all. Just 1 second. So when you have a piece that's like a flower or has little like curves or anything, you want to make sure you get it all in the right spot. And then you can just adjust while it's still hot if you need to. Perfect. So let me show you. He's almost built all the way. Look at him. Isn't that cute? Okay, so let's put this back on. And now the machine is going to give us our last two applique outlines of pieces number 16 and 17. So if you're following along with your pattern in doing this, we're already on step 17. So see, it goes really fast when you're doing it. And even faster if you're not stopping to talk the whole time like I do.
Cindy says, thank you so much for doing this. It's a lot of help.
Oh, good. You're welcome, Cindy. Y'all know this is my favorite thing to do. I could like film machine embroidery tutorials all day, every day. If I was allowed, I would. So now we're going to put the little hand on. You want to make sure you put this piece down before you put the orange circle. So this is piece number 16 that we're putting down. And then the very last piece is number 17. So now for the next several steps until we're done, you at home would leave your hoop on the embroidery machine the whole time, because you don't need to take it on and off. I'm going to take it on and off because I'm going to come to the camera and show you what's stitched and what we're stitching, because that's the fun part, right? So it's time for our color changes. So now I'm going to take my white thread off, and the first color we're loading is our medium tawny tan, which is 1056. This is going to be your magic Hedgie color throughout the entire quilt. All your Hedgies are the same color. So just load it up on your machine. You know, another thing for those of you that are picking on a machine, they actually make some embroidery machines that don't thread themselves for you. If you can, spend the money and get it where the machine will thread the needle for you. Trust me, it is worth every penny, because I don't like threading a machine. Or threading the needle, I should say. You always have to thread the machine to a certain level. But see, it threaded it for me. All I have to do is pull my thread out. And then, actually, now would be a fun time if we can, if you don't mind, maybe we'll kind of move the camera a little bit, just to see a little bit of the stitching. So sorry, y'all, we're live, so it's going to be a little bumpy. But see, what the machine is going to do is a buttonhole stitch around the whole outside of his body. Then it's going to come over and go and do around the white part of his body, around the arm, around the outer part of the ear, back around the body, to the ear, the arm, and then down. So isn't that just so much fun to watch? To me, this is like a zen moment, a relaxing moment to watch the machine do absolutely perfect buttonhole stitches for you. So I know a lot of you keep asking about the machine that I'm using. This is the Brother Innovis VE2200. Oh, so another thing I would say when you're picking on a machine, so make sure the machine will do the hoop size that you want. For us, I like to be able to do at least an 8" by 12" hoop. Make sure that the needle will thread for you. I think that's really important. And then I really like to have a screen of somewhat. Now this, because it is an older model, isn't a giant screen by any means, but I really like being able to see the colors that are coming up. I like kind of being able to see where my machine is going. I think that makes it helpful. So those are just a few little things to look for when you're picking out a machine. And there's all kinds of machines out there. There's, you know, I would be careful when you're doing a machine to make sure that, well, some of them only do up to like a 5 by 7 hoop. And I think not just with our files, but with a lot of other designers, you're gonna get kind of stuck where you don't get to do a lot of the fun projects that you want to. So I would say hoop size is really important. And you'll notice the machine is just doing all the work for you, doing perfect little buttonhole stitches around your arm. And then I have it programmed to do a little straight stitch back up, back to your buttonhole, and go around your cute little ear. And what you'll notice, if you pay attention really close while you're watching this, I have the stitch width and length set to 2.5 by 2.5 for pretty much the whole project. But when we come up here to the ears, that was just a little too long. So I actually take it down to about 2.5 by 2. And then on some of the inner parts, I even took it down further, like especially on that little pink nose, I took it down to 2.5 by 1.5. And so this is actually good advice, not just for machine embroidery, but also for machine appliques, that within one block or within one project, don't be scared to change your stitch size. You want it, the stitch size and the stitch length to match the piece that it's stitched onto. It doesn't need to be like one, you know, global size, if you will, for the project. So just like that, all of that is stitched. Now we are gonna put on our 1256 Sweet Pink. And I'm actually using 1307 just because, y'all, I didn't wanna open a thread kit and give it to myself. And somehow I don't have 1256. So even if you don't have the exact same colors we use, you have a pink that works. But in your thread kit, the Hedgie thread kit, you have exactly the colors that are called for in the pattern. So I'm just gonna load my pink thread and then put my project back on the hoop. So here I didn't need to take it off at all, and you wouldn't need to take yours off. I just really like to be able to hold it up and talk to you about it. So I don't know if you want to do like, you know, see the cool stitching? I love it. And you don't tell anybody how quick it is to do it, right? Because they're gonna think you like sat at your machine for hours doing this. And really, you just got to watch it. So I do hold my thread when it first starts stitching. So at the end, I always have like little threads to trim. But that's no problem, right? It's easy to trim the threads. So right now what the machine is gonna do is stitch your left ear, then it's gonna do your left cheek, your nose, and then your little mouth, your right cheek, and then over to your ear. Super cute. So for those of you just joining us, we are working on the starter kit from the Hedgies Block of the month. This is the machine embroidery version, so it's called the plus version because it means that it's your full kit plus the embroidery files. And then we also, if you don't have an embroidery machine, don't worry, we have a version for sewing machine applique for you where you use your regular sewing machine. So instead of the embroidery machine doing these stitches right now for you, you would be guiding your sewing machine with your favorite applique stitch, a blanket / buttonhole stitch, or even a zigzag or a satin stitch, whichever applique stitch you prefer to use. And it's so cute. Look, y'all, he has this little mouth now. That like starts to give him the personality. I love it. And if y'all have any questions, don't be shy. Go on and comment and let us know.
Marsha wants to know, do you ever use shape flex on the background?
You know, I am kind of boring when it comes to like stabilizers or things I use in the hoop. I'm kind of stuck in a rut where I just use a medium tearaway stabilizer, so I have not used that at all. I would say though, whatever you're going to use, whatever you like to use the same thing throughout, you know, the entire project, just so, you know, your project is consistent, especially when you get to the quilt blocks. But for me, the reason I like medium tearaway stabilizer is simply because it's easy to tear away, but it's also strong enough to keep my positioning right, because, you know, there's a lot of stitching going on, and I just think that it's like a secure method. But again, I'm not very adventurous in trying the new stabilizers and different things in my hoop just because I know this works, and so I've kind of stuck with it. So I guess maybe I'm not the best person to ask that question to. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little boring on that topic. And so
everybody's saying it's cute and so adorable and they love it.
Oh, thank you. So I can't take credit for the design at all. This is designed by my mom, Julie, here at Stitches of Love Quilting. She is the talent behind the company. And so this is all of her original design. And then it of course goes with the full quilt, which is so cute. So if you're just joining us, you can just visit stitchesoflovequilting.com and you can see pictures of the full quilt, of the starter project, a little preview of the box that's gonna come in for you every month. It's just super cute. So right now the thread color that I've loaded on is my silver gray. It's 1218. So the machine is going now around the spool top and bottom. And you can see pretty much all I'm doing right now is managing my machine, right? So all I'm doing is changing my thread colors, and the machine's doing all the work for me, which is awesome.
So Roxy wants to know, she has a couple questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you pulling up the bobbin thread when starting or just holding the thread?
No, great question. So the way my machine works, and I guess others could be different, I don't have to do anything, and technically I wouldn't even have to hold that thread at all. It's just a personal habit to hold that, but no, the machine does all that work of the of making that secure knot and working with the bobbin thread. I don't have to pull any threads up at all. And it's not like, you know, how on like a sewing machine, if you want to hold the thread, you will hold the bobbin and the needle thread. I don't have to do any of that. And again, you really don't have to hold the thread. I'm a creature of habit in some ways, and that's just what I do. So when I'm doing the main tutorials where I film from ahead, y'all don't see that step, but I do hold my thread. And I always trim my little thread before I turn the camera back on. So today, y'all are gonna see me trim my thread.
She also wants to know, do you have the stitch cutter turned off on the machine?
So right now, when it's done with the thread color, it does cut it for me. Yeah. So I don't have to trim anything like that at all. So no, I don't have that turned off. It's on. So you could do, I don't know if this machine does like a locking stitch at the beginning, if you, like a button to do that? No. I mean, it does it itself, but I just hold my thread.
And then Cindy wants to know how big the quilt ends up being.
Oh, it's either 55 inches squared or 56 inches squared. Do you remember?
50, I think it's 55.
Is it 55?
I think
yeah,
so.
55 inches squared. Yeah.
And Pam says you're an excellent instructor. Thank you for this great video. It's so helpful.
Thanks, Pam. That's sweet. I just really enjoy doing this. And I kind of like talk about it the same way I would want someone to tell me. Like, I go to YouTube for tutorials all the time, and I hate when if I'm watching a video, they just assume I know something. I'm like, no, that could be like the whole reason I'm watching it. So I try to give as much detail as I can without, you know, being too boring. All right, so now my blue is done. We're gonna load the green. So again, all I'm doing right now is just changing my thread colors, and the machine is doing all the stitching for me. So it will do all the stitching for you at home too. So it's just really fun, and I really, when I'm back here and I'm like filming the tutorials, I just kind of watch the machine. It's very like a zen moment to me. You know, it's just very calming to do this. So there we go. And I just let my mind wander, and then when I turn the camera back on, y'all get to hear the crazy things I was thinking about. But isn't that cool? So it's just gonna go around. Now it's gonna come up that leaf, and it'll do a little straight line back down to the other leaf. So I try to do, you know, as few knots as possible. Just going around like these perfect stitches. Love it. So now we're down to only 3 more color changes. Can you believe it? So now we're gonna load Butterfly Gold, the 056. Look how much I use this all the time. This might be the first spool of thread I ever run out of. I love this color. And then just get it threaded. There we go. And then thread my needle. All right, and then get your thread. There we go. And again, yeah, I hold my thread and I trim it at the end. And I will tell you, my little trick is to have a nice spool holder right by my machine. So normally when I'm filming, I'm really good, and I take my spool of thread and I put it away right away. But today, y'all don't want to watch me run back and forth, so I'm just lining them up. But aren't they the prettiest little colors? So after the yellow is done stitching, we're gonna load orange, and the machine is gonna do the last applique piece, and then the final color will be black. And then I'll show you how we trim it. And then the last thing you need to do is go back to your pattern and start making your block. And I will tell you that at the end, before you stuff your pillow, I mean, this is all in the pattern, you will want to sew your button eyes on. So I might just sew my button eyes on early today so that you can see it with its little buttons. So I might jump the order so you can see that. So now let's load our orange thread on the machine. There we go. All right. This is a really pretty orange. It's called True Orange. It's number 1168. And if you do enough of our projects, you're going to be like me, where you have like the numbers memorized and the color names memorized. There we go. So again, this is the very last applique stitch that it's doing. And then the next thread color that we put on will be black. And the machine will give the little eyelashes to Harmony Hedgie. See? So like on my machine, it's about 9 minutes of stitching. And I do have my machine set to the fastest stitch. You can slow it down if you want, but I find no need to. Just let the machine do its thing, let it stitch. There we go. So now we're gonna get little eyelashes. Oh my gosh, are y'all ready for how cute she's gonna be? Cute as can be. And then again, I'm just gonna trim all my threads in a second. And then we'll actually trim our block. Look at that. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Yay! I love it. See, just real quick it does those eyelashes. So now I'm just gonna trim my threads. All right, so all we have to do, just go where you held your thread, do a little trimming. And normally I would trim this every step, but again, we're doing a live. And I hold my threads, so just real quick, each one. That's one thing I love about these scissors. They're sharp all the way to the tip, so they work really well at trimming your threads. Oh my gosh. Look at that, y'all. Is that not so cute? So then see this stitch line right here? This is our trim line. So all we have to do, so let me just show you. I sounded northern there. Let me show you. Sandra, your accent's rubbing off on me. Of course, I bet when other people talk to us on the phone, they probably think we're really southern. So now it's ready to come out of your hoop. Just get your hoop out of the way. So what I have right here is I have my light pad, and then I have my applique glass, and then the cutting surface that comes with the light pad. So I just keep this right here. Again, all I did was move the rest of my pile out of the way. And now you're just gonna cut this thread off essentially. So I'm just gonna go right inside the stitch line, like so. And you'll be able to tell your lines on your ruler are gonna line up at the top and bottom perfect for you, so you know you're nice and square. And then I'm just gonna trim all 3 sides. And then what you'll do is go back to your pattern now, and you are going to add on the borders. Then you are going to use your ruler and the triangles for your mini simple folded corners. And then you just add your buttons. Do any quilting you want before you add the buttons. Then you're gonna add the pillow back, and then your binding. So it's a really fun, quick project. But the whole point of this starter project is 1, so you get familiar with using your embroidery machine, and 2, so that you are familiar with that mini simple folded ruler. So look, just like that. All done completely in the hoop of the embroidery machine. And then you're ready to get the fabrics so you can make your actual pillow. So that's it. That was quick. I don't know how long it took, but it feels like it went by really fast because it was so much fun. So again, this is the Hedgies Block of the Month. This is your starter project, your practice for getting used to your applique, used to your embroidery machine, and used to that mini simple folded ruler. So stay tuned for more tutorials specifically for this starter kit. And thank you so much for those of you that joined today. And Stephen and Astrid, if y'all are still watching in the Netherlands, hey! All right, I hope you all have so much fun making your hedgies. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment. And yes, the video will be available later, so that if you have questions when you're making it later, don't hesitate to comment then. Happy stitching, everybody!